All right, on 5.3, we're going to start talking about logs, which you've never heard of before unless you've taken chemistry. So we're going to start off with rewriting these log equations in exponential form. Because logs and exponents are just inverses of each other. So here's how you're going to rewrite this. So this little number right here, that's the base. Whatever is by itself is the exponent. And it's going to be equal to whatever is with the log. So it kind of goes in this order. Okay, number 2, same thing. I'm going to start with 1/2. I'm going to write everything like that. So 1/2 to the y power equals x. Now on this one, it doesn't have a base. So whenever you have a log without a base, there's really a 10 there. So I'm going to write this as 10 to the y equals x. Now we're going to do the opposite. So this time I'm giving you exponential form, and you want to give me log form. So log, my base is 5, and these two variables just basically switch places. So since x is with 5 in this equation, y is going to be 5 in the other equation. Okay, number 5, I have log, my base is 1/3, and then it's going to be y equals x. And in this one, it's going to be log, my base is 10, and my variables switch places. Okay, and I'm not going to worry about number 7. We kind of just did that. And we'll do more practice with these, but we're going to now graph. The rest of these notes are just graphing. Here are the steps to graphing a log, or you might even have a natural log. The first thing you want to do is translate. So you're going to move your graph either left, right, up, or down. Second thing you're going to do is rewrite your equation in exponential form. After you rewrite it in exponential form, you have to keep in mind that you're not going to be able to cross the y-axis because your y is going to become the exponent. And you'll see that when we get to the next page. Okay, after you keep this in mind, you have to make a table. And since y is going to be the exponent, that's where we're going to put 1, 0, -1 this time. So whatever your exponent is, that's where 1, 0, -1 goes. And then you just plot your points. So those are the steps. Okay, let's turn the page. And I crossed off some of these, so on the next page we're not going to do 10 or 12. Okay, so according to my steps, the first thing I want to do is make sure I translate. Well, there's no extra numbers, so I don't have to do that. The next thing I want to do is rewrite in exponential form. So I'm going to write it like this. 5 to the y equals x. If you have a log or natural log equation, y becomes the exponent. Okay, I cannot cross the y-axis, so I'm going to draw that in this time. My origin didn't move. After that, I have to make a table. Since y is the exponent, that's where 1, 0, -1 is going to go. Okay, 5 is my base. So next to 1 is my base, next to 0 is 1, and the next to -1 is the reciprocal of the base. And now I'm just going to plot my points to make my graph. And remember, I cannot cross this yellow line that I drew in. So it's going to look something like this. Okay, let's look at 11. So on 11, I don't have to translate anything. So the next thing I want to do is rewrite it. So it's going to be 1/6 to the y power equals x. And remember, when you have a log equation and you want to graph it, y becomes the exponent. Since y is the exponent, I cannot cross the y-axis. Also, since y is the exponent, that's where 1, 0, -1 is going to go. Next to 1 is the base, next to 0 is the 1, and next to -1 is the reciprocal. So all I'm going to do now is plot those points. And it's going to look like this. All right, that's the second page, because we're not doing 10 or 12. Let's look at the last page. All right, so let's look at 13 and 14 first. This time I'm going to translate. So this, since I have a number with x, I do the opposite. So I'm going to go to the right 2 and then up 1. Okay, that's my new origin. Now I'm going to rewrite this in exponential form. My base is 1/3. So I'm going to have 1/3 to the y equals x. Y is the exponent, so I cannot cross the y-axis. Now I'm going to make a table. Since y is the exponent, 1, 0, -1 goes there. Next to 1 is the base, next to 0 is 1, and next to -1 is the reciprocal. So now I'm going to plot those points. And connect. Looks something like that. Okay, 14. This number is actually by itself. If it was with the x, there'd be parentheses around it like this. So since this is by itself, that means to go down 2. Okay, now I'm going to rewrite it. So 3 is my base, y becomes the exponent, and it's equal to x. Since y is the exponent, I cannot cross the y-axis. Also, since y is the exponent, that's where 1, 0, -1 is going to go. Next to 1 is the base, next to 0 is 1, next to -1 is the reciprocal. And now I'm just going to plot those points. And I cannot cross that yellow line, so it looks something like that. Okay, those are all logs. Now we're going to get into natural log. So on 5.1 and 5.2, we talked about the letter E. So if you have a natural log, E is always your base. So on all of these, since they have natural log, and by the way, I crossed off 17, E is the base if you have natural log. Okay, so on 15, I don't have to translate anything. I don't have any extra numbers. So the next thing I want to do is rewrite in exponential form. So E is my base, y becomes the exponent, and then it's equal to x. Okay, my origin did not move. Since y is the exponent, I cannot cross the y-axis. Also, since y is the exponent, that's where 1, 0, -1 goes. Next to 1 is the base. Well, we learned that E is about 2.718. Next to 0 is always 1. E to the negative first, we learned that it's 0.367. Okay, so now I'm going to plot those points. And I cannot cross the y-axis. So that's what my graph looks like. Okay, moving on to 16. This number is grouped with x. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go to the left one. Okay. Now I gotta rewrite it. So it's gonna be e to the y equals x. Since y is the exponent, I cannot cross the new y-axis. Now these two equations look exactly alike. So I'm going to use this table to graph number 16. It's the same exact equation, same exact table. And it's going to look something like that. Looks the same, I just moved it over 1. Okay, I crossed off 17, if I didn't mention that already. First I have to translate. I'm going to go to the left 2, and then up 1. That's my new origin. This again becomes e to the y equals x. Again, since this equation is the same as these two, I'm going to use the same table. Y is the exponent, so I got to make sure I don't cross that. And now I just plot my points. So that is number 18. And that's how you graph logs and natural logs.